There's no question that we are going through a transformational time, and there is a lot of uncertainty to navigate. The question is how are you and I going to walk through what's called a threshold, where we're not where we've been, we're not where we're going, and we are where we are. And this is actually a really challenging time in just normal circumstances, because if you don't have the tools and the wisdom and the knowing and the knowledge and really the structure for how to actually walk through into the unknown, into doing things differently, it's really easy to run backwards, get lost, get swirled up, or worse, create a reality that's not even in alignment with what you really desire, what is true for you. And then all of a sudden, you're just stuck in another reality, another job, another career, another housing situation that is just more of the same, creating more of the same, overwhelm, dissatisfaction, etc., etc. And so we want to use this catalytic energy that's just happened in the year of 2020, but it's really been building up for a long time, to actually make shift happen where it matters. And to do that, you actually do need tools to navigate the uncertainty so you make wise choices. And here's where my superpower comes in. I'm traditionally trained as an MBA in the business world. I've been trained as an entrepreneur, all of that traditional training. But I've also spent the last 20 years going deep in what's called a wisdom tradition, really looking at the ancient, timeless ways for how do we do things differently. And my superpower is marrying them together. And more importantly, I live this way myself. So in this series that I've created, as I could do, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have models, I have structures, I'm so excited to share them with you. I decided to do a couple-part series on navigating the uncertainty, structures that you can think about, that you can use to think about and make wise choices and set up structure that supports you. Because here's the thing about structure. Structure without it, you're like a sailboat with no rudder board, and you're just going to be blown out all over the place. But too much structure and you're boxed in. So structure, the right kind of structure, actually gives us freedom, because you can feel held and safe and guided as you walk through whatever changes you're going through. So I'm going to share one model per video, and there'll be some model for you to kind of chew on, take it back into your life, consider it, contemplate it, and then start to do things differently because of it. And then go on to the next model and the next model and the next model. And then let's see what we can do to strengthen your capacity to navigate the uncertainty so the choices you make are actually in alignment with the reality you want to create. So here's the first model. And this is really, I call it the triangle of transformation, but really it's the triangle of personal transformation. And it's what's happening to every single human on the planet right now. It doesn't matter whether you just woke up yesterday and you're like, wow, the world is so much different than I thought, or whether you've been on a personal awakening and leadership journey for many, many years. So when you look at this triangle, you can see a little bit about why it's so stressful right now, because there's 3 different areas that we each have to work if we want to truly do things differently and live in alignment with what is true for us. And so on one side, it's about healing the past. And this is your own personal past as well as what's going on in society. You could take the same triangle of transformation and lay it on top of our society. But for today, I want to actually just talk about you. And because personal transformation is the start of all social transformation, all systemic transformation. So what in your life is being asked to be let go, to be healed? Because you see, what happens for most of us is that we've made choices in our lives from really deep, unconscious places. I call them imprints, or they're the wounds in your own heart that is just part of being here on the planet. But you don't know that you're making choices from these unconscious imprints. You don't know that you're making choices from woundedness instead of wholeness. And so what you want to do is you want to get in there and you want to look at those. You don't need to sit on a therapy couch for 8 million years, but you do, and therapy might be the way for you to go. Or it may just be about actually putting yourself into an intentional container, working with a mentor, working with a coach, working inside of an intentional group that's actually exploring these things, to get in there and say, okay, whatever those distorted imprints are, whatever that woundedness is, I'm going to heal that and leave behind what I don't actually want to take with me. So I've been using this metaphor a lot about the pioneers. And you think about pioneers, it's a great metaphor. It's also a great metaphor because right now we're in the year of the ox. And so the ox is not a time to be pushing forward and going fast and being like a road runner or a Mustang. It's like you want to till your field, till that soil and get those root balls out, get those weeds out, and use the catalytic energy that's happening to do that. And then you're going to leave that, just like the pioneers, if they were like, moving across a continent, they had a wagon and they get to a certain place and they're like, you know what, to go over this mountain pass, we can't actually take that heavy stuff with us. We got to leave it here. So there's stuff within you want to leave behind. Relationships, ways of doing things, ways of thinking, and it's all good. It's just a matter of getting that part needs to be healed too and released. The second part is preserving and stabilizing the now. Take a breath. I see so many people that I work with wanting to get to where they're going and just wanting to set a new normal or wanting to get ahead and putting so much pressure on themselves. And they're trying to create the new, but they're not sustained in the now. And so that might be time, that might be energy, that might be your own health of your body, that might be your relationships. You want to look at your spiritual and your physical and material level foundation, home, health, wealth, and relationships, and say, what do I need to create a stable foundation? Because if you try to create up there, that third part up on top to create and lead the new, which is where the dreams and desires and the deeper meaningful calling you have and the thing that you know that you're here to make a difference in the world for and the things that you know your heart and soul are calling you to, which we need some energy up there because if you only stay down here, you'll revolt or you'll just feel really heavy. So it's interesting when I work with people one-on-one and my mentorship, we're working all three of these areas. So we're going into those parts in the heart where the wound are. We're uncovering the imprints that make them overwork and overgive and create realities that are not in alignment. And we're also looking at that foundation of health and wealth and home and relationship and says, okay, what needs to be redefined here? What needs to be realigned here? To create some sustainability. And it's okay, dear one, to give yourself the space to do what's needed on these foundational parts. Everyone I'm speaking to right now, I'm saying pace yourself. Pace yourself, don't push yourself. Pace yourself, don't race yourself. But also don't go to sleep. Also don't just try to rush to normal. Because if we can get these parts in, the healing and the getting to a deeper place of wholeness within, and really get stabilized and sustained in the now and saying, you know what, those ways of working and living, not sustainable, not doing them anymore. Those relationships, not working, not sustainable, not doing them anymore. What happens is this part up here, the new, and just thinking about this for yourself, whether it's new in how your relationships are, whether it's new in the career, whether it's new in how you're working, whether it's new in how you're living. I mean, there's so many possibilities there. And they're going to come in and we need to be in relationship to them and more on that. So I was just working with a person doing a session and she was just really in the downers. She was just really feeling super heavy. And we're doing this work to get her harmonized on the inside so she can rise. Because what happens for a lot of people is if they're not harmonized here, heart, body, mind, and soul, all four, we end up creating realities that are not meaningful and don't fulfill us no matter how hard we work or how much money we make. And, I said to her, we've been doing so much of this deeper work. We had to focus up here too. What is it that you want to create and do all three? And all of a sudden her joy just opened up, her heart opened up, her energy sparked up. And she's like, okay, let's go deeper into this heart piece. I want to get in there and I want to ferret out those imprints that are in there that cause me to overgive or cause me to hide. I'm like, great. And we're also going to create what's coming. And so we're talking about do you want to do blogging? Do you want to do, podcasting? How do you want to use your voice? And let's also make sure you're sustained financially. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Although I don't even really know what that means. Why is there a baby? Why is there? I would say don't cut down your tree. Don't cut down what's actually feeding you. So take a breath. That's just one model. And just look at this and look at which part of this personal transformation triangle you're not paying attention to. And ask yourself, what do I need to do, and look at all three of these. And that is a conversation for another video about having support, because you don't have to do it alone. But look at this first, see where you're already focused, see what's needed this year. And then take a breath and give yourself a break. You don't have to pace yourself, you don't have to race yourself, but it is about showing up and tilling that field, taking out the weeds, really pulling over the soil, getting it to be really rich. So what you grow from here and what you create from here is magnificent. Doesn't mean it won't be challenging, but the work you put in will be well worth it. And the reality you will create will be so much more aligned with the truth of who you are. See you next time, the next video on how we navigate uncertainty in a deep place of wisdom.